Lessons from the Watchdog road trip. Yeah, I'm back, and I'm sure many of you realize that, whether you're watching on the YouTube or you're listening on whatever platform. Obviously, the sound quality has improved. Again, when I go on the road, yes, I still work. I call them working vacations. They are what they are. You own your own business. You got your own time. You're never truly checking yourself out on vacation, but that's okay. I don't mind it at all. I love to travel. I do. It is something that I really, really enjoy. I was gone for about a month. I went to 6 different places here in the United States, over in Europe as well. I'm not a cruise guy. I can't sit on a boat. Again, there's a great comedy bit by Bill Burr. Just put it into YouTube. Put in Bill Burr cruises. It's hilarious. Not for me. I like going to new places. I like talking to people. I like experiencing other cultures. I like to learn from others. It's to me, it's one of the best things about going on vacation. Talking with the people there, whether the people that are taking you in a cab, with the people working at whatever hotel you're working at, restaurants, people in stores. You can learn a lot about the world. So again, I'm an enormous fan of, the late, great Anthony Bourdain and his programs. Stanley Tucci is doing a really good job. I think that those shows are great. I think they encourage people to get out and see the world and experience other cultures. There's a line that I'm constantly reminded of. One of the podcasts that I listen to is done by this Father Mike Schmitz, and he always calls upon a line by Mother Teresa. It says that, in essence, we have all the problems in the world because we fail to understand that we all belong to one another. And I always try to keep that in mind, whether I'm watching people at an airport, whatever it may be. When certain things might annoy you, you got to remind yourself, we all belong to one another. Well, anyway, neither here nor there. Let's get into the entire road trip, shall we? First and foremost, New York. So up in New York, yeah, I got to see a great concert. It was Dave Matthews concert, Jones Beach, one of my favorite places to see a show. Was fantastic. But also, I got to lay the land on how business was doing. Now, Long Island is a pretty popular spot in the summer for people to go on vacations, especially going out east. You have the North Shore, you have the South Shore. South Shore tends to be a little bit more of the upper crust, super big money types. North Shore is catching up. Both shores down big. I mean, down enormous. People not renting properties out. Restaurants are down. Traffic is down across the board. Again, talking to people that I know that have rentals, people are just nervous about the future. They're holding out. They're not doing this. They're not splurging like they used to, which again, I found pretty fascinating. But anyway, moved on, was over in Europe, and same thing. In areas that I travel to, which are pretty much hot spots. A couple of them were off the beaten track. Few of them were off the beaten track. I started off in Santorini. I had an event there that I had to go to, talk to the people at ran a hotel that we stayed at. It was a wonderful place, absolutely beautiful, up on a cliff. Love it. Again, one of the great spots to go to in the world. Truly beautiful. Down 40%, and it's not because of the earthquakes. It's not because of the earthquakes by any stretch. That was not why. They said people were not booking at all. And it's not just a matter of cancellations after the fact because of the earthquakes. It's just very slow. Talking with people, restaurants, same thing. Talking about with the drivers of the cars, taking you to various different spots, the same thing. They did say yes. They said Americans are keeping us afloat. And let me tell you something. This idea, because there was an article. I think it was the Wall Street Journal talking about, how Americans are going to be treated if they're overseas. What are you talking? Again, never experienced a lick of resentment. And people ask questions, what's the deal with your president and whatnot? But they managed to separate the fact that, the government is different from the citizens. Because again, they live that too. They have their fair share of leaders that some like, some don't like, but across the board, they always commend us. Americans are generous, they're funny, they're fun to be around. And again, I'm at an advantage because my wife speaks fluent Greek when we're there. But overall, really kind of a nice experience. Again, little stories here and there. It's one of the things I like. It's just like being on land. I'm trying my limited knowledge of the Greek language, trying to order ice cream at night. And, guys, we like to bust each other's stones. And, the Greek guys behind the counter, you're not Greek, you're Italian. And you're going back and forth and just having a grand old time with these people. Really, it was interesting. Moved on to an area that I've never been to. In Greece, up in the Ionian Islands, and again, highly recommend it. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, you can't even describe the terrain there and just how beautiful it is. The beaches are. But what was interesting there was, again, I'd never been there before. The crowd that was there. I look at the license plates. So again, you tourists from different places: Romania, Moldova, Bosnia, Serbia. And I had to admit, then I was kind of like, oh boy, boy, oh boy, didn't we indiscriminately bomb the hell out of Bosnia, Herzegovina and Serbia not too long ago? But no, it was very, very nice from there. Some of the conversations I have, and I like speaking to younger people when I'm there. Basically, and again, nothing's really changed. This has been pretty much, it's a similar conversation I've been having with people when I go to Europe, and it's not just Greece, but other places as well, more all around, Southern Europe. They're kind of almost given up. They're just stuck. They don't expect to really rise up in the ranks. They really don't. It's just not something that's possible. The cost, what they get paid based upon what they're paying for things is just high, and they can't really seem to work their way out of it. Salaries aren't that high there. My wife's cousin, who went to one of the best universities in the world, he's making a decent salary. He's doing well in London, but not well enough to really get ahead. Gets taxed at 45%. They really don't like you moving up at all. They really keep you down. And again, I talked to them about that, and I said, this is where we've gotten to here in the United States as well. And it's the reason why. And I know I did some podcasts when I was away on vacation with, what's his name there, Mandami in New York and AOC. And why do you think these types have become so popular? Why do you think that's the case? Our system, it doesn't work. Okay, we are slowly but surely going to turn ourselves into a European style state, if we're not almost already there already, where again, it's very, very difficult to get ahead. You play by the rules. You're doing the right thing. You're working your butt off. You go to college. You get out. And you find yourself, maybe you don't go crazy. You got yourself even a little bit of student loans, a little bit of debt. You get yourself a job. You might even be doing even more. You may be working on weekends as well, trying to get ahead. And you take a look at what the cost is for a home. And you automatically say to yourself, I got to be responsible here. I can't afford to have children. You take a look at the demographics in Southern Europe. They're falling off a cliff. Not having kids, I can't afford to do it. I can barely, get by as it is. And you're looking right now here in the United States. Okay. We got U.S. housing market affordability is about the worst level we've seen in about 35 years. I'm going to go back to 1985. 1985, the median household income in the United States was $23,620. The median price home was $83,200. Right now, median household income in the United States is $74,580. A median home price in the United States is $468,000. I'll just go back 5 years. Median U.S. home buyer housing payment in January of 2020 was $1,505. It's $2,800 today. This pisses people off. It really does. And listen, okay? Listen, I worked my tail off. When I got started. The BS line right now is to stop going to Starbucks and everything is going to be okay. Is just that. It's BS. It's BS. The powers that be, the fools on CNBC, all these things that keep telling you that everything is awesome. The economy is great. The economy is fantastic. It's not fantastic when young people feel like they cannot get ahead. That's a problem. And nobody's doing a damn thing about it. Nothing. You could easily handle some of these issues you have with these big fund companies buying up all these U.S. homes and outbidding people. You could handle that through property taxes in a heartbeat if you wanted to. Or you just say, hey, listen, okay, if you are a owner-occupied home, okay, guess what? Your owner-occupied home, or you can even say you can have a second home, vacation home, if you have a lake house or something like that. You pay no property taxes or next to nothing. And all of the investment companies out there, you have got to bear the brunt, and you raise that up. They're not going to be able to afford to rent them. They're not going to be able to do it. They're going to have to sell. They're going to have to liquidate, and prices will come down. It is a major issue. Between 2020 and 2023, the share of homes bought by investors averaged 18.5%. 27% of all homes sold in the first 3 months of the year were bought by investors. Again, problem. It's a problem. And this is why you're having this, wow, gee, that socialism thing sounds pretty great. When you back people into corner, or, people play and they do the right thing and they follow the rules. And again, they can't have a difficult time getting their way out of the situation that mom and dad are not helping them out. You're going to get this type of blowback. Listen, No taxes on tips. You think that's going to solve this problem? You think, and I am all for extending the tax cuts from 2016. You think that it's going to really solve this problem? I don't. Again, something needs to be worked out. Again, you talk about the massive amount of student loan debt. And I get the argument from some kids out there. They feel like that they were duped. Now, again, that might be, a bit of a stretch. But you're basically you're keeping this entire generation. They're going to be in debt service with this. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to get them out of it. I don't know what it means for the economy moving forward. We're simply not going. People are not going to have children because they're not going to be able to afford it. And again, we're going to end up like Southern Europe. And again, there's going to be political blowback unless this changes. These are the things that, quite frankly, need to be dealt with at this point in time. One of the arguments, we're going to open up all these federal lands to build more houses. People, you just don't say, here you go, here's land, build homes. You have to have jobs around those homes. It's an entire infrastructure, and it takes decades. I used to live, again, in a master plan community. I got in there when it was open, I think, for about 8 to 10 years. This is going back to 2002, 2003. And again, now you can't even recognize it. It's massive. I mean, it's massive. It's huge here. It keeps growing, but there's businesses there, and they did it the right way. They did it little by little. You can't just say, here we go. I got some parcel of land here in Utah, and all of a sudden, yep, everybody's going to come running. No, what's going to end up happening is it's going to be, one of those Yellowstone situations. They're going to end up building homes for wealthy people. We've got disconnects here in this country, and the disconnects and the problems we have all stem from government and the decisions that we've made. It's natural. It's natural all kids are pushing back against capitalism because they don't know what capitalism is. Over the next few days, next few weeks, also on the radio show, I'm going to be delving into this. It's a problem. It's a problem where we actually think we're running a capitalist system here in the United States when we're not. We're not running a capitalist system. It's funny. I get a phone call. Let me give you an example why. I get a phone call from my son yesterday, man, and he's got coming up with ideas for businesses, and I love the fact that he's doing that. He said, "Dad, can I throw something by you?" And he's like, I'm riding in Uber with some of my friends. They were again, he's visiting some of his friends on Long Island before he starts his job. Just graduated from college. And, we asked the guy, the Uber driver, the bill for the Uber was 40 something bucks, how much money he keeps. And, he told me $15. And my son asked, well, how about if I started a ride sharing company where the drivers would pay $50 a month, and then they get to keep everything that they got as far as the payment and the tips and everything goes along with it. I said, it's a great idea, but that works in a free market. If you don't think that, both Uber and Lyft have managed to establish, and I said, look it up, look at the regulations that are involved with trying to start a new ride sharing service under that model. I can almost guarantee you the laws and regulations would make it impossible. Because guess what? Uber and Lyft, helped write the regulations by donating money to the right people to box competition out. In the same way, and I explained to him the same way, after the financial crisis, 2008, 2009. Oh, we had Dodd-Frank. And what do? We made the banks' utilities too big to fail. They put thousands of banks, smaller banks all around the country out of business because they can no longer afford to keep up with the regulations. Same thing held true after the dot-com collapse. You put in, was it Sarbanes-Oxley at that point in time? All these small investment banks, poof, they're gone. They can no longer afford to stay in business. That's not capitalism. And I was, basically, I told him, I said, I explained this before. It's regulatory capture. And that's the world we live in at this point in time. And again, I'll delve into this. We're going to talk about the problem with zombies and the inability to fail in this country and cheap money and a myriad of things over the next several weeks here on the program. Other than that, it was a great Watchdog road trip, but it's always nice to come home. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com.